Hi friends. This is not an advertisement. This message is issued in the public interest of Canadian homeowners. Please listen as it might save you a lot of money and heartache. Let's talk about international students today. We hear a lot about education being good in Canada, and of course, a lot of students come to Canada, either permanently or temporarily, under the pretext of studying. So, how do they get funds to survive in Canada? Many work hard to build a life here. They take up part-time jobs in industries like fast food. However, some resort to alternative routes, which include cheating and scamming. Some girls, for example, get exploited by men from their own community into prostitution to make ends meet. Some work at meat shops or factories as workers for cash, which is a win-win for the employer and worker. Another strategy is to have a false marriage to a Canadian citizen, to get your PR, and then end the marriage. These are old, well-known tactics. I want to talk about the latest scheme these scammers are running, after I became a victim myself. We realized how they are exploiting the Canadian law, and legally running this scam with the support of the system. The connection. Renting. Now, they have started exploring new venues, and renting is one of them. The students coming to Canada have such good knowledge of the rental laws and rights, often even landlords are unaware of how biased the court is in the tenant's favor. Unfortunately, Canadian laws are extremely biased, like in most countries, towards supporting the tenants, because according to them they are poor, and weak, and the landlords are cold, mean, evil, and heartless people. But if you stop and think for a while, what if the tenants are mean, and evil? Then what happens to the landlord? They might suffer from financial losses and face undue stress on their mental health. Who is responsible for that? The law, the government, or the landlord and tenant board? Anyways, let's now talk about the scheme of these so-called tenants who are frauds. They will enter your rental property and behave well for a couple of months. Then as your lease tenure will be coming to an end, they will start their drama. I will tell you about the pattern from my own personal experience. First, the tenant will work to create an issue or point of contention, by doing things like blocking your driveway to inconvenience you, ignoring agreed-upon parking guidelines, not shoveling their part of the pathway, or leaving garbage at his door for days. Second, the tenant will start sending you threatening emails of harassment, which you never did. This is just for creating self-evidence, so if you go to the LTB, they can produce it to show you in a bad light. Third, then to harass you, the tenant will leave all the utilities on for day and night, 24/7, so that you suffer financial losses. If you cut electricity or water, you stand to be at fault, because the poor tenant is now without utilities. Fourth, the tenant refuses to let you enter the apartment. He or she will block your way to the furnace room even for basic maintenance, even after giving the mandatory 24 hours notice, as established by the landlord and tenant board. Fifth, the tenant tries to spoil your appliances by running them day and night, then falsely accusing you of not fixing them. Sixth, the tenant will lie and accuse you of rent increases even if you haven't asked for it. Seventh, the landlord goes through the proper procedure to raise the rent, and the tenant refuses to pay rent, or leave the property. Eighth, the tenant sublets the property to other students, without the permission of the landlord. Ninth, the tenant will make banging noises in the middle of the night. If you try to stop, they will try to assault you and your family. Remember, this is an act and a part of their plan, to malign you and your reputation. 10th, the tenant will call the police, if you play music in your house, even before 11 p.m., and the police will come to warn you. If the landlord calls the police for any offense done by the tenant, the police never comes, because it's not an emergency, or they say it's a civil matter. But if the tenant speaks lies to the police and gives false information, they come right away, and will come multiple times despite lies. Why? If the landlord complains to the police about the tenant's attempt to assault him, the police refuse to even register a complaint. If the tenant leaves the utilities on day and night, which is mischief and dangerous to everyone else living in the residence, and they can book them under the Mischief Act, the police do not even write a complaint. Why? The tenant would then try to negotiate with the landlord, cash for keys. Be careful, this can be a trap, if you filed for an L1 with LTB. The list of things that I have mentioned above is a set pattern that the tenant uses to cheat the landlord, and mind you, they are very good in how they unjustly exploit the system. They don't have any fear of the law, as the law implicitly enables them and supports their illegal activities. Please do your due diligence, make your rental agreement through a good lawyer, or give your property only to a proper property management company. These fraud tenants will change their color the moment they enter your property, and start harassing you in a few months. If you are having a tenants issue, I suggest you keep a track of all the events and note it down, as you will need it when you attend the hearing with the LTB. I would also like to suggest to renters that they should not fall into the trap of these scammers, as their offer of cheap housing may sound lucrative, but will go against them if legal notices are issued to them. Their future will definitely be affected. I hope you are getting my point. The business plan. It seems these schemers plan to rent a few properties each year to reach their target. Non-payment of rent, and the illegal subletting of the property, generates anywhere between $20,000 to $50,000 per year for each property. Imagine, if they hold at least 10 properties, they are making anywhere around $500,000 in 1 year roughly. Then, before the government can take any serious action against them, they can easily disappear to any other country with their loot, where they can't be held accountable. So, brothers and sisters out there planning to rent their properties, please beware. It's better off not to rent your property than to fall into this trap of debt and loss of mental health. Thanks for hearing, and have a good day.